Welcome back to the Grow Up Level Up Gamers Club, where we respect your time and your gaming passion, where Jordan and I bring in the best game recommendations that you can play in your day-to-day life as a full-time worker. Because we know your time is precious, we bring the games to you so that you don't waste your precious game time looking for games. We bring game impressions, and we are here to maximize your fun. So, let's get into... I hope that wasn't too loud.
I was going to say that was pretty eardrum bursting, but it got my attention, that's for sure.
For audio listeners, I'm sure you heard it, but you didn't see. I just did a cute little video introduction. So come on over to YouTube if you want to see that. But welcome, Jordan, to Grow Up, Level Up Gamers Club, Episode 2.
Episode 2. We made it.
Yeah. We made it where it's pretty much smooth sailing from here. We are pretty much set for life. We can retire and do this podcast the whole time now.
Perfect. Nobody told me that, but I'll give it a try.
But yeah, no, thanks for the warm reception, everyone, from episode 1. We did kind of fly by the seat of our pants. I don't know. We recorded that on a Thursday and like uploaded it the next day, which is like really quick turnaround. But I don't know about you, Jordan, but I just feel like if you want to do something, you just have to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And then keep doing it. Overthinking, like, the logos, the descriptions, the distribution, whatever, like, overthinking that just delays you from putting out what's important, which is this podcast and our impressions and all that. Special shout out to Adam Gumby from Respawn Aim Fire. Adam was another guest on the other show here, Grow Up, Level Up, where we kind of talked about making gaming podcasts, so kind of meta. Anyways, Adam retweeted the tweet of the first episode, so thank you, Adam, and thank you everyone at Respawn Aim Fire, Cozy Bear, Chad, Michael, Innes. Thanks for supporting our little project as we support yours. But Jordan, sorry, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. It's just as hot as it was last week, and now we're under a nice blanket of smoke, and the air quality here is a 10. And you can't go outside and you can't open the windows, and it's a good time to be in Alberta.
No, it's that time of the summer for you guys, eh?
That's right. Yeah.
Over in Alberta, yeah. For those who don't know, Western Canada, so like Alberta, British Columbia, we know it's summer because the second half is always covered in smoke and it's hot. Actually, in BC, it actually cooled down a bit. We got some clouds the other day, and this week has cooled down. No smoke yet. That usually comes in August, which is in a couple of weeks. We're recording this end of July right now, so we'll get that forest fire smoke soon.
Yeah.
But it's just become like a way of life for us now. More time to stay inside and play some video games, if I might say.
Good point. That's a great idea.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about our Concord impressions, as well as our impressions on the new Overwatch character, Juno, which went into trial over the weekend. But first, let's talk about those Concord impressions. Jordan, did you play any of the open beta from this past weekend?
I did. And honestly, I know you just turned it over to me, being a very gracious host. But I would love to hear your impressions first, since you hadn't jumped in previously, and obviously I talked quite a bit last episode about my initial impressions. So you go ahead, and then I'll have a few things as well.
Sounds good. So Concord, for those who didn't catch last week's episode and who aren't in the know, Concord is a 5 versus 5 action first-person shooter game akin to like Apex Legends, of course, Overwatch, also similar to another small game coming out called Marvel Rivals or Valorant, but this functions more like an arena shooter, so a little more closer to Overwatch, but with like higher fidelity graphics. It's got no ultimates, but it's got its own set of systems. So Concord had its open beta this past weekend. Unfortunately, I only got to play one night of it. I was busy the other nights, as life happens. As you know, on this podcast, we are working people with lives outside of games. So unfortunately, I only got to play one night of it. But kind of my takeaway was it was okay. And I don't know if that's because I kind of went in hoping it was going to be like the next big thing, or that it was going to be super fresh and super new. I kind of left the first night and I guess the whole beta being like, that was cool.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I don't think I'll go back and play it again because it is a paid game, and we'll come back to that. But talking more about the game itself, I jumped in with my buddy, 2 buddies, so we kind of 3-stacked, and tried a couple characters. We didn't play enough to unlock the other modes, so we just played a lot of team deathmatch and kill confirmed. I think it's like called trophy hunt and brawl or something like that. And it was cool. It was cool to see all the characters. It was cool to have like, it's basically we just got like 20 new toys to play with. So we kept swapping and trying new things. I settled on the character Itzy because it felt like Sombra from Overwatch, where you can teleport. And I also really liked the person with the little slingshot. It's like a little slingshot with a little ball.
Fire slingshot. Charge it up. It has a kind of more damage.
Yeah, they were pretty fun to play as well. And then, it just felt like you were saying last week, Jordan, sometimes you just want to decompress and shoot things. And that definitely filled that niche for me. I definitely felt it was fun to just shoot. And then, so the game felt good. The game looked good. It ran decent on my PC. And then I would say about the 4th or 5th game in, and these aren't long matches, they're like 10-15 minutes long, about the 4th or 5th one in, I start to feel like, okay, I get the basics, I get the goal, I get about a quarter of these characters. Like, how do I start strategizing with my teammates? Because at that point it's been an hour plus of just running around. Like, you win some, you lose some. At that point we were looking for the depth of the game, and one thing that we noticed from the very beginning was like there wasn't really a tutorial, which is good and bad. So we weren't sure of how we were supposed to like synergize our characters, if at all. We weren't sure which characters were what. And there is value to that, because I do really like it when games are like, here's the game, figure it out.
You mean like Elden Ring?
Yeah, figure it out, you noob. But for this one, because I don't know, maybe it's because it was a competitive game, you kind of felt like, I want to win, and I want to learn more how to win, but the game's not giving it to me. Of course, you can look up guides on YouTube and guides online, but ideally in the game, it should tell you all the systems and how it works and how to combo with other folks. So that was kind of the first pain point for me and my friends. We were like, how do we synergize? Maybe we just went into it with that Overwatch mentality, like we all had to synergize somehow, instead of just being the one person to carry the team, closer to like a Valorant, for example. But yeah, and then there was like XP that you were gaining in the middle of the match, and we weren't sure if that was XP for like cosmetics outside the round, or there was something inside the game we were doing with the XP. We kind of did our 1-2 hours of gaming, and then we're like, oh, we'll pick this up tomorrow. But then life happens, and we couldn't find time together again to play it again. And then the weekend was over, and we didn't have time to play again. And I think the general consensus from us was like, we're curious about it. We're curious to learn more. At the same time, like, we're not $50 Canadian curious, or like $40 American curious. So that's kind of where we're at now with the game. It's like, we had a good time, but it wasn't anything special, if that makes sense. Yeah. Jordan, what do you think? Yeah.
That totally makes sense. And I think the more was very interesting, because I mean, the big thing that you hit on is the lack of a training or tutorial, right? They throw a couple little tool tips at you to be like, hey, do this, do that. Hey, this is this type of person, or this is this type of person. But it's like, there was so much information being presented that it was kind of meaningless, because I hadn't actually played yet. And that was the big thing that I was wishing coming into that first weekend, was I don't even care if it's a fully fledged, training ground, similar to what Overwatch has. You could spawn me into a 50 by 50 grid, and just let me spawn a character in there and play with their weapons. All I want to do is see what their kit is, figure out what again, I play on console, so figure out what the R1 does, what the L1 does, what the R2 does, L2, for most of them, L2 is aim down sights and R2 is shoot. But it really was lacking in that sense. And I'm hopeful that that was simply because it was the beta, but you would also think that, it's a beta. First of all, it's not an alpha. So they, at this point, have most of the systems built. They want people testing essentially what the live game is going to be. They're probably looking more at server load and balance, right? So there's a good chance if they don't have one now, they aren't launching with one. And then, and it really kind of felt like, in Overwatch, every time they release a new character, one of the first things I'll do is I'll queue into a match usually, but then you have the option of choosing if you want to do like a skirmish, if you want to just sit and watch the loading screen, or if you want to jump into the training ground and you can just pick whichever character you want. And more often than not, when we get a new character, like we did this weekend as well, I'll queue into a match and I'll immediately select that training ground just so I can jump on the new character and try them. Because there's a good chance, unless I'm the first one to spawn into that match, I'm not going to get to pick that character anyways. So unless I'm playing, some arcade mode or whatever in Overwatch. So I did really find I was looking for that, right? And because they didn't have that, it meant you're loading into a live match with real people, probably some of those people who want to win. And I'm kind of like, sorry guys, I'm just messing around this round. Like I'm not taking this seriously. I hope you're not, because I don't know who I like. I don't know who feels good. In some games you might like a sniper class or a sniper character, and in others you might not. I know Widowmaker in Overwatch, a lot of people who play snipers in sort of more traditional shooters aren't fans of it in Overwatch because it's a charged shot. It's not an immediate, burst in damage, right? Like an AUG or an op, sorry, in Counter-Strike and things
or
like that.
Valor.
Valorant as well.
Actually, they're both called ops, yeah.
Exactly. So, I did, that was one thing that I definitely found in the first beta, and then coming around to this second weekend, I was really hopeful that it was going to be there, and sure enough, it was not. Of course, I was pleased to see that my all of my unlocks and things carried over from the previous beta, even though I had deleted it. I didn't delete my save file, but I deleted the beta from my console and I had to re-download it and everything. So I was happy to see that, because it did mean that I was able to play around with, a little bit of the progress I had made. And I did unlock, the other modes and a few cosmetics and things like that. So I got to kind of try that out. But yeah, I think, obviously I've heard a lot of conversation around the game lately and everything. And I think that I think I talked about this last week, but the onboarding experience, lack of a training mode and lack of really walking you through these things in a way that's meaningful is going to hurt the game. And then on top of that, obviously, as you mentioned, like there's the price point, right? If one of those barriers were a little easier to overcome, I think they could see some success, because the foundation feels solid, right? I personally really like the shooting and I really like the movement. Some of the abilities, yeah, there's something to be said about balance. But, I gravitated toward Itzy right off the jump as well. Although I hate her voice lines, but I had fun with her, right? She's quick. She has a really cool sort of teleport dodge thing where it actually creates a decoy of her when she uses it.
Oh,
and it was kind of a neat twist on a character like Sombra from Overwatch, right? Where in Overwatch you throw your translocator and you just teleport. In this one, it actually sends out a decoy in the direction you're traveling when you do that teleport. And it was easy to miss too. I didn't actually realize it until I was playing this second weekend and I saw other people playing Itzy. But anyways, a few characters that I really liked, a few characters that seemed a little, overpowered. But again, unfortunately, I think this game has a few too many barriers that it's going to have to overcome to really be successful. But it's being published by Sony. It's a Sony owned first party, I believe. I don't think they're partnering with them. I think they own them. But because of that, I'm hopeful that, if things aren't going super well, I hope that Sony has a plan to pivot, right? If they go free to play and they make cosmetics or something like that, a premium price, make a battle pass a premium price, lock characters behind a battle pass, like it sucks because, now you have a game like Overwatch that has finally come around to the fact that no, we're not locking any characters behind a battle pass. But, they've got enough to start. Maybe they give you half the roster to start and they say, look, pay the $40 and you get the other 10, right? You give us at least one from every class or whatever they call them. But if you want, arguably the cooler one, you got to pay the price. So,
yeah, I want to touch on two topics there. One is the the lack of tutorial and training ground, just even having, like you were saying, like a 50 by 50 flat grid just to try the characters out, see what you like, or play with their mechanics. I think that is so important. That like it's common in fighting games. I feel like
that's
fighting games
exactly what I'm picturing, right?
Yeah,
that stage that's just flat. It's a grid, just so you can measure, exactly how far does your does a dodge move you and everything like that, right? That kind of thing in these hero shooters can be important, right?
I think so, because like, or else I'd just be like, all right, I'll try this new character, but now I'm losing and that's not fun. And then that's a barrier, one of the barriers. I really think that was a big miss, not having a training ground for folks like us who only have a couple hours a night, and we would like to use that time optimally. Hopefully, like going into the full game, I don't know if they just forgot to add a training ground, or like they're saving that for the full game, but kind of a weird miss. And the other thing is the pricing, or the barriers, I guess, is how you mentioned it. Just $50, 40 American for this game. It's like, every time this comes up, I think of the common worker who comes home from their like shift at the hospital. I'm making up this person. Comes home from their shift from the hospital as a nurse, and they just want to blow off some steam playing video games. And it's like they can either go play any of these free games like Fortnite or Warzone, or I don't know, maybe something they already own like The Sims or something. They can
Apex,
play any. Apex. What are some other like free games that are not shooters? Well, I mean, I guess if they're not playing a shooter, they might not play Concord.
Disney Dreamlight, is Disney Dreamlight Valley free now?
I don't think so.
No, I think that's a paid one, isn't it? Yeah. I have it,
but there are lots of free experiences people can have. So it's like, what are you really giving me that's different at the $50 price point? And I think that's kind of what I struggled to see during my game, or my game time with it, is like it does things different, but not anything special. And also maybe what is special is like, I couldn't see it because the training, the onboarding was non-existent. The systems weren't very well explained. And like I said, I played like over an hour, almost 2 hours of matches, and I still didn't unlock the second set of modes, like the payload and whatever modes. I was still doing deathmatch for over an hour.
You know what? I'm not even convinced that I unlocked them either. I know I only played the deathmatch modes, and I'm just wondering if that was more just a case of me not paying that much attention and just realizing I had unlocked more. Like, pretty much, right? Like, I was mostly just, again, because I knew it was a limited time, I was mostly just trying to get a feel for the characters, find out who I like to play as, and figure out if I, wanted to take this game on, right? So I didn't fully explore everything, but
I think that's like, if the game succeeds, it has to be free to play. And that's just as a consumer, knowing my group of friends that play video games together, if this game wants to be relevant in like 6 months to a year, it has to go free to play. And the business strategy could just be like any other game. Well, I can't say that, I'm not a business person, but seeing success of other projects like Overwatch, where they pivoted, and they, like, I'm pretty sure Microsoft / Blizzard just keeps injecting money into the game just to keep that relevance and IP. And there is a dedicated player base that will spend money. So like that, but Concord doesn't even have the player base to begin with.
Maybe whales haven't reached it.
Yeah, right. And I was gonna make a gotcha joke, but maybe not this game. Like, Concord strategy would have totally worked in 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
But nowadays, when you can go on Fortnite or Roblox and play any type of game you want, any type of shooter you want, and not to mention Fortnite's going to come out with a first-person mode very soon. Like, if the average person can go do that instead of pay $50, they would totally just do that. Like, yes, the design, and this is subjective, the setting and the design of Concord is pretty original and unique, but I don't think it has mass market appeal. It's not like sexy and cool like Overwatch or sexy and cool in a Gen Z way like Valorant. So yeah. Do you want this game to succeed though, Jordan? Like,
well, I mean, I would never say that I'm cheering for the failure of a game unless the studio is notorious for treating their employees poorly or something like that. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, I guess what we don't know, but what is the metric for success for them, right? What is PlayStation expecting to see out of this title? And if we compare it to their most recent $40 or air quotes budget price title in Helldivers 2, there's no way this reaches the levels that Helldivers 2 reached, right? I don't think Sony even projected Helldivers 2 to reach the mass market that it did. Like, it was lightning in a bottle, and it's kind of, I mean, the phrase is lightning in a bottle for a reason, right? Once it's out, you can never really catch that again, or it's very hard to. The funny thing that you said is like, yeah, if this was 2016 and this launched alongside Overwatch, I mean, okay, alongside Overwatch, maybe Overwatch beats it into the ground like it did with Gearbox's Battleborn.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because I see screenshots of that game now, and I'm like, yeah, it's clearly a Battleborn or a Overwatch competitor. But I'd love to just hop in, see how it was, like, because I never touched it, right? So
I think I played it once, but my PC was so bad back then that I got like a solid 10 frames, and I was like, Overwatch it is.
and that's the thing, right? Is, I mean, Overwatch very clearly was, wearing the crown at the time, and in a lot of ways for a long time after that. And I think that back in the day, to the point, if it had launched in that time frame, again, not necessarily right against Overwatch, but around then, maybe it could have seen some serious success, right? Because people weren't conditioned to the Fortnite model, right? Which is a big problem now. And unfortunately, I mean, we've seen this across a number of things, the music industry, streaming industry, and everything like that. It's even if you look back at mobile gaming and how it first became big, right? It was a race to the bottom. Everything was $1, no more premium prices because everyone just wants you playing. And it's all about, how many people, what's your user base, as opposed to, the actual time spent in it or anything like that. And for a game like this, like I say, it's unfortunate that I don't think it will succeed where it's at now. But again, I'm hopeful that with a Sony backing it, they can make the call, and, initial sales numbers will carry it. I don't think they'll pivot too quickly. Initial sales numbers, I would say, will carry it at least 3 months. But then maybe we get to the holiday season and surprise, PlayStation Plus members get it for free in the month of November or December. And maybe they see a little bump from that. If that doesn't work out, then, it's going free to play. There's no way they just kick it to the curb. That's the thing. They've put enough money into it that they have to, right?
Yeah. What is it called? Like diminishing returns, or it's not right, something like that. But yeah, like I can see them doing a small push, one more push to buy the game, but it's not going to reach Helldivers' success. And to its credit, Helldivers, the concept, even if you watch the trailer and you're kind of aware of what Starship Troopers is, like the idea makes sense just watching from the trailer. Oh, we're soldiers and we're defending against these bugs for Earth. That's like super straightforward. Whereas you watch a trailer for Concord, doesn't relate to the gameplay at all.
True.
I mean, Overwatch doesn't, and Apex doesn't really either. But the characters, like, you care about these characters, and in Concord so far, other than one off the big yellow guy, I don't find any of these characters relatable or charming. Yeah, the big trash can with the thing, like Baymax.
I was just about to say, and the funny thing is there's a pretty easy parallel between a lot of the characters. Like Starchild, who's, first of all, I hate the name, but is basically Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not just based on physical appearance, right? When you watch the cutscenes where he's acting and talking, he behaves very similar to Drax. And I was a little bit like, feel like that's a miss, because it would be better if they were more distinct. But then you have the trash can, which is cool. And as a character, cool concept, cool mechanics. But as soon as he starts talking, I'm like, oh my God, this is Baymax. It's literally Baymax. And then you see it and you look at him and you're like, yeah, he's big and bulky. And not as puffy, but or not as squishy. But you know, there were a few parallels like that I was a little bit like, I almost wish it was more distinct.
Right? Yeah.
But then maybe that's less appealing to other people, right? I don't know. So
it's, and I'm sure somebody who actually studies character designs can like correct us or write in if you study character designs, right down below. But yeah, it's like that line of how distinct do we want to be, or like different do we want to be from what people know, and how much do we want to lead into the stereotype? Because in Overwatch, Zarya is very much a Russian woman, like big strong Russian woman stereotype.
And that character is in what game are we talking about? Concord as well. That was
really?
the thing. Yes, there's it's like the second tank character on the select screen.
Oh my gosh.
She's a and let me just set one thing straight before I get in there. Actually, something that I find pretty cool is when you look at the character select screen, each of the characters does have their gender identity there. So it says he/him, she/her, they/them, etc., etc. I don't want to misgender this character because I can't quite recall what it says. I believe it says she/her for this character, but she is a large woman with an accent and a minigun, and it's you know, Zarya has a charge gun. But it's a big gun that you hold kind of like this with one hand in the front and one hand holding the back. And she runs around and just mows down people.
Or like
and
the
has
Heavy
a little shield.
From TF2.
Exactly. Yeah. And so again, you know, it's that the lines are blurred here. What game am I playing? So
yeah. Well, let us know what you think of Concord. If you played it over the weekend, will you be picking it up? Are you just going to let this one pass? We'd love to know because it is... I feel passionate about this topic because it's like, you're going to come into 2024 with another hero shooter and you're going to ask money for it. Like, show me what you got. So that's where I'm at with Concord. I want it to succeed. I always love it when there's competition for my favorite genre of games, which is like hero shooters or shooters in general. But yeah, you got to show me what you got, Concord. And
true.
And I know all the devs work hard and it is like a beautiful game, beautiful sound and mechanics. It feels so good. Yeah, I just wanted to do what I'm thinking. Well, I know it sounds very pretentious. I just wanted to do these small things, make it free, so that you will have success. Like
small thing. Let me play it without paying for it.
Yeah, right. I know that just made me sound so pretentious. My bad, guys. Moving on to our next topic, another kind of a demo type of event happened over the weekend. We got our first look at the new character from Overwatch, Juno. I am making a title card and talking at the same time. That is why it sounds very disjointed. But if you're watching a YouTube video, maybe you can see the title now. I don't know how this works on Riverside. But Juno, newest character from Overwatch. I forget which hero we're on, like 40-something probably. They are a...
43?
40. Oh, wow.
Maybe?
I was pretty close. They are a support character from Mars, I believe, and they're like a Martian. And they are joining the hero roster as the next support character. I got to play similar to Concord, just one night of Juno and played some other roles around it. And I thought the character was really good. I thought it was fun. I think Overwatch is in a weird state where it's like, yeah, we know what we're getting, and you can hop in and out, and the game will always be there. Which I wouldn't say is like the signs of a game dying, but a sign of the game like stable, which is like more than what I could ask for as an Overwatch fan who played during the dark ages of like 2020 to 2022 or whatever. But it was cool to try this new character that mechanically simple, and like, but some of all its parts, it was really fun. Maybe I'll go over like how they work first. They are a support character, kind of looks like Diva, like wearing the bodysuit, but she has these moon boots that makes her movement feels like she's floating around. First ability is to kind of like a glide like Pharah or Echo, where she gets some horizontal movement boosts. Her E ability on PC is throwing a ring down, which acts as a little gate for a speed boost for the rest of your team. Her gun is like a little pistol that shoots little bursts. Similar to Anna's, you don't need to choose between heal or damage, depending on who you shoot is what will happen. And then her right click, not sure what button that is on PlayStation, but her second fire, I guess, is like a lock on. And then when you shoot that, it's like a lock on heal. Little missiles come out and get all the characters, good or bad. And the ultimate is a big laser that comes down and it moves forward slowly, heals your team, boosts them. And it's pretty similar to like, what's that character in Valorant? He goes, raining hellfire, that guy.
Brimstone. If I played more Valorant, I might know. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Brimstone. It's like a big orbital laser, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Orbital ray or something. And it boosts your team and moves forward slowly, similar if Kiriko's ultimate or Mora's ultimate got put together. So it sounds very janky. It sounds like a bunch of different systems, but in game, she just felt very dynamic, felt very fluid, fit in on a lot of different team compositions. And honestly, it was the more fun, good feeling characters that I've played in Overwatch in a while over the past couple of releases. I feel like it was, all the things felt good. Like, obviously the game feels good, but all the things felt good and natural with each other. And then also felt like my teammates, we got it. We're like, oh, you see a ring? We're pushing. You go through the ring. You see the ultimate come down? We got it. We're pushing. You go with the ultimate. It's pretty straightforward. And I also feel like it's a mechanically easy hero. I think this will be popular with the, I don't want to say the noobs, but like the people who just want to have a chill time, because you don't need to pick between heal or damage. And then it's like each ability sounds complicated, but they all technically just do like one thing. So far I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to playing more Overwatch with Juno. Overall, the game has been kind of same for a while, which honestly I can't complain about because then I know what I'm going to get every time I'm in the mood for it. But Juno, good addition. Jordan, did you get a chance to check her out?
Yeah, I did. I think I should mention this at the top, but similar to you, I didn't actually play a ton of games this weekend. I actually wound up making a road trip to Calgary for most of the weekend, coming back Monday evening. But I did get to play Thursday or Friday. I can't quite remember. And yeah, I mean, I echo a lot. Echo. It's another Overwatch character. Anyways, I echo a lot of what you were saying about Juno. And it was an interesting comparison going from Concord back to Overwatch, of course. Because Overwatch just has these things figured out. I mean, already when we were talking about Concord, I used the comparison of queuing up for a game and jumping into the training ground just so I could test Juno's abilities and try them out before I queue into him. Juno, in a lot of ways, I found feels like a bit of a reaction to some of the other heroes that I think they've had. First of all, Juno, obviously support character, which support has, long since been the least. What am I trying to say here? There's the fewest options you have when picking a support character, right? And so it's always exciting when we see another support character. But of course, out of the most recent support characters, they've kind of had, I mean, I guess 2 out of 3 were pretty big hits. One was a pretty big miss when it first launched. Of course, I'm talking about Lifeweaver. But now you really see Kiriko in particular is generally a mainstay. And Blizzard really tends to, I think, favor her in a lot of ways. We see a ton of skins coming out for her, whereas other characters are, somewhat neglected. I did check. Juno is hero 41, so I was a couple off. But anyways, the point is, I think they had some clear lessons learned from these other support characters that they've released, in particular, Illari and Lifeweaver. Lifeweaver, upon release, controls were all over the place, underpowered, and kind of a bit of a mess. Probably the biggest blunder I think they've had when releasing a new hero. Illari, on the other hand, I think a lot of people really liked, but it was in a lot of ways just taking the damage roll and moving it over to a support and saying you have some healing abilities, but really you're just dishing out damage. So Juno feels, in a lot of ways, I think, like a nice in-between there. With the primary fire, similar to you said with how Ana functions, where you don't necessarily have to change your weapon. You simply shoot at your target, and whatever it is what sort of the fire is going to do to it. There's a nice little animation on Juno's gun where it's a little smiley face on the back of her gun when she's firing at a friendly target and it's healing, and then it turns red and it's a little frowny face.
Oh, really?
When you're shooting at an enemy. Yeah, you should.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
If you just Google it, I'm sure you'll find pictures of it. It's quite cool. But again, that kind of comes back to, I think, some of the areas where it really demonstrates how Blizzard is masterclass when it comes to this. Whereas a game like Concord is, obviously new to the scene. It's little things like that really shine and really show they know that there needs to be some very clear visual representation for this new character about what is happening, right? It's the primary fire. It is the button you're going to use the most as Juno, your heal and your damage. Same button, no need to switch back and forth, but players need to have feedback on what they're doing and what they're targeting. And it's immediate. It's right in front of you. It's on your gun. It's red or it's blue. And then you jump over to a Concord where one of the problems I had was a lot of the time it felt like I wasn't quite sure if my abilities were really landing or doing what I, thought they were supposed to do based on the description of the ability, right? And Overwatch really has good feedback, right? That's one of the things that I think has always been their strong suit is you always know sort of as what the character you're playing is doing. Again, Lifeweaver was a bit tough on that because you had these weird kind of janky controls to switch back and forth between his abilities originally. But of course, they've fixed that. They've streamlined it a little bit more. And now I actually find Lifeweaver quite fun. But bringing it back to Juno, great design. A little bit more on the simple side, I think, when you compare it to a character like Alari, who is really, she's got this armor set and, this ultimate where she raises into the sky and it's all about her kind of thing. So a little bit more of a simple design, something that I think they can probably work with a little bit easier when it comes to designing skins, weapons, emotes, things like that. There's a little bit less going on there, but overall just cool, right? She's got this futuristic vibe. The moon boots that she floats on are cool. She's got this futuristic kind of crop top life jacket looking, or PFD, not PDF. Looking jacket on kind of thing, and her gun looks like somehow they took how in the 1950s there's like a classic ray gun style, like you think of a 19 and you have a very clear image in your mind and it's that teal color and it's got a little dinghy on it with a little red ball on the end. They took that, and Overwatch takes place 1,000 years in the future, but then they made it almost retro future in that time period as well. Yeah. So they did a really good job with the design. And then, the abilities are a lot of fun. We're finally getting some speed boost abilities, which is something obviously Lucio's had for a long time, but it's kind of meant that Lucio is a bit of a staple because no other character could provide that to the team. So you can really see where they took some design abilities from other characters and said, we need someone else to be able to do these to add a little more variety and spice in. And, I think they did a great job with it. She's a lot of fun to play, easy to understand, and honestly, I'm excited to see her kind of come into the fray. A little bit too bad because we do have, of course, the Esports World Cup coming up.
Oh yeah, that's very soon.
Is that this weekend?
Might be tomorrow.
I was going to say, I think it's starting real soon. Yeah. I think the main matches are going to be over the weekend and everything. So I think you're right. It starts.
Right. Yeah, check that out.
Maybe starts as early as tomorrow. But anyways. Would have been cool to see her there. Obviously, it's a little earlier than that, but it'll be exciting. I believe August 20th is when the next season starts. So,
yeah, it's like the gift that keeps on giving. We just keep getting new toys to play with. Yeah, that's right. I agree with everything you said. Juno's like super fun and well designed. Looks cool. Even the little like design touches of her reload being like the gun sucks up the next clip. That is such a cool little detail that tells like, oh, she can manipulate gravity or something like that. So yeah, that's exciting. I'm really excited for Juno. Like Overwatch just keeps crushing it with these hero designs. Like you can say what you want about the game balance, but at this point, I really feel like the community is nitpicking about that kind of stuff. But as always, we always recommend Overwatch. It is Jordan and I's one of our top 10 games of all time, top 5 games of all time.
It's got to be.
But this show is also about recommending new games coming out. Kind of new. I have maybe one. And we want you to bring that into the weekend. We are recording this a little earlier in the week, so we don't I don't actually have too much time out from the weekend games that we just mentioned we were playing, but I still have some news and some recommendations I'd like to share with everyone. So the first one, news today, it is July 23rd, 2024. We got news that the next day, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is coming to Game Pass. And I have a soft spot for Call of Duty. I think it was one of the first rated M games I got to play after watching my friends' big brothers play it all the time. I'm like, yes, I can play it now. So I'm excited to check out Modern Warfare 3 on Game Pass. I haven't played the new one yet. I don't even play Warzone. But if it is on Game Pass, I'll definitely try that out for a night or two and see all the new stuff, see what I like and don't like. Do you have any game recommendations, Jordan?
Nothing too huge. The funny thing is, I mean, like you say, new games, and I think, again, other than Shadow of the Erdtree, I haven't really been playing anything too new. But something that's been kind of fun is with my kid, I've been going back and dipping into the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection on Switch.
Oh, yeah.
And I've kind of been jumping back and forth. Mostly just I let her pick which one she wants to play. So I've been jumping back and forth between Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and what's the other one? Mario Galaxy. Yeah.
Just one,
and
not two for some reason.
Yes, just the first one. But it's been exciting for me as someone who I always kind of grew up Nintendo adjacent. Like I was always in the PlayStation camp. But I had my best friend growing up, and pretty much to this day, he was always a Nintendo kid. So I would go to his house and play these games. And because of that, I never really fully dove into Mario 64. For me, that was a dentist game. They had it set up at the TV at the dentist, and you'd play it in the lobby or in the waiting room. And then, Galaxy, I never owned a Wii, so I never played it. I know I'm one of the few people that never owned a Wii. But it's been fun to kind of experience those games and also be able to think about them on a level of, I'm old enough and, I've obviously call me a student of the game when it comes to video games. I'm able to comprehend these things and think about them in such a way that is like, I can only imagine what this would have been like when it was new. And, for Mario 64 3D platformers were brand new, right? And for all intents and purposes, Mario 64 invented the genre. At the same time, I'm able to look at it with a modern lens and say, man, this game sucks sometimes. But again, I can see the love that people have for it and some of the qualities that really make it special. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been interesting. In a lot of ways, I feel a little bit like I'm studying when I play them, just purely because I got the cartridge when it came out, but I got it because the one Nintendo console I had before the Switch, actually that's not true, I have had others, but the first Nintendo console I had was the GameCube, and I bought it because I loved Mario Sunshine at my friend's house. And so I'm one of those freaks that loves Mario Sunshine.
Hey, I'm a Sunshine believer as well. I think it's good.
Okay. And again, I'm able to now play it and understand some of the flaws. Like some of the decisions they made in that game are just absolutely bonkers. And some of them are just quite literally poor game design where they expect you to understand or know a mechanic, but they've never shown it to you before. And that's just honestly poor game design. Have you ever seen Indie Game, the movie?
No, it's been on my bucket list for over 10 years or whatever it came out. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if that's the movie where they talked about it. If not, I apologize, but I'm going to give it credit. They do an interview early on with, I believe, the creator of Super Meat Boy. Mm-hmm. And he talks about game design, and he talks about the fact that one of the reasons why Super Meat Boy is so beloved, obviously, is because it's punishingly hard. But the way it teaches you the mechanics is quite literally, in the very first level, you are Super Meat Boy, you run from left to right, you jump over the obstacle. Then in the next level, you jump over the obstacle, then you jump over a second obstacle. Then in the next level, you jump, duck. And it very much eases you in, and it's teaching you the game mechanics without a tutorial, basically, right? Without literally saying, press X to jump and hold down to duck, right? And Mario Sunshine does not do that. There are some decisions that they make where it's like, hey, we're just going to throw something at you and hopefully you figure it out. Okay. And So again, when I play 3D All Stars, it feels a lot like I'm kind of educating myself in some ways. I never had any desire, and even to this day, I don't have much desire to go back and play old games that I missed. You know, a lot of them I have played here and there, but like I never would go back and get 50 stars in Mario 64. And here I am. I think I have 48 or 49 right now. And it feels like I'm learning, and I like that. That's cool and exciting, and something I never would have done unless, you know, there was an external force pushing me to do it. And honestly, now it's my daughter. And the fun thing is, she has no desire to play them. She just says, I like watching you play. And I'm like, well, okay, Saturday morning, we're going to spend an hour on the couch. I'll drink my tea and play Mario Sunshine or Mario 64, whichever. And you'll eat your breakfast and that kind of thing, right? So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a blessing, right? It's nice that I get to do that, and that I find the time to. If she weren't there, I'd just be playing Elden Ring, right? Like that's the thing. But anyways, so
yeah, like almost like a little vessel to experience this classic. And I wonder what my push will be to replay those games, because I actually I also own 3D All Stars. I know all three games are great, but I grew up with two younger brothers, and I'm selfless. I let my younger brothers play the games. But what happened was, like, we all played different sections of the game, and then like, oh, this was getting a little hard for me. I passed it off to my brother, and then he would play a section, and then like 2 hours later, it's like, oh, okay, now we're in a different level. So we've all played, like, Galaxy, I think, was the one we played the most, but only parts of Galaxy each. So it'd be interesting to go back and see, like, oh, I remember watching this, but I never beat this level. That's very special. Thanks for sharing that story about Super Mario and tea time on Saturday mornings.
That's right.
Love that. My next game recommendation is one that I actually was making dinner and scrolling YouTube, putting on a video, and I saw this game got a release date trailer or a launch trailer. All right, that's good. And that game is called Rawmen, spelt Rawen. Kind of like ramen, like the noodle. But Rawmen is a 2 to 8 player online battle shenanigans, all online multiplayer battle shenanigans. Troll and eliminate your friends with your favorite food-filled morsels in battles that extend far beyond your dinner table. So if you look it up online, it is a third-person arena shooter, but there's no guns. Every character is equipped with like a giant soup vat and like spoons and other food related decorations and
utensils, maybe
food related things. And it's super cartoony, super stylized, and I believe there's a couple different modes. But the reason why I had this, and it's developed by Animal and published by Tiny Build, I believe. And the reason why this was on my radar is I've seen this game many, many years ago. Like, I want to say like at least 5 years ago. And back when it was revealed, it was like it was something like related to a game jam where it's just like a tech demo, and it was a Splatoon ripoff where the game mechanic was similar to Splatoon, paint the ground and you win, except instead of paint, it's soup. And it was called Rawmen, and it was funny because they were all like kind of bulky looking dudes. But I guess since then, and I've been waiting for a release date for this game for like quite a while, since then they've kind of scrapped the Splatoon idea a little bit, moving to more of like a traditional objective based shooter action game type of model with different modes. I think there's like a payload mode, there's like a capture the flag mode, and like lots of more foods, lots of more body types, and the game's out. I was like, yo, I can download it on Epic Game Store right now. So I might try this out this week, and I'll give my impressions. It is a game I've been looking forward to for a long time, and I hope it holds up, because goofy, funny stuff like this is my bread and butter.
Yeah, for dipping in your soup.
Yeah, but I haven't tried this game at all yet, but I'm really excited to try it out, because I've been waiting a long time for this. Like, I remember years ago seeing like, oh, Splatoon. Like, I do like the idea of Splatoon, but none of my friends own a Wii U or I guess a Switch. And Rawmen was like, oh, PC version, perfect. I'll just wait till this comes out and we can all play. And now it's out, and now we got to try it out.
Yeah. Well, not to concern you, but if you have a Windows 7, as long as you have Service Pack 1, you'll be okay. That is the minimum requirements for this game. It looks like it is in a sort of early access. I'm looking at the Steam page right now. It does say this game is not yet available on Steam, coming soon, and then it says join Rawmen playtest, and there's a request access button.
No, it's out on Epic. I think they had a partnership.
Oh,
so
really?
I don't.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I don't know what they're doing with the Steam page, but yeah, a while ago, I think like Epic did the thing where they pump them with a little bit of money if they make it platform exclusive. So,
oh, fair enough. Okay, yeah. I take it back then. Very cool.
Excited to try it.
I dig the art style, that's for sure.
Yeah. And the last game I have for our game recommendations, sticking to it seems the whole episode's been about hero shooters, which is kind of our I'm going to say it again, bread and butter anyways, is Marvel Rivals. The next closed beta started today. I requested my Steam access a little late, so I did not get into this wave, but hoping I get a beta access sometime this week so I can try Marvel Rivals. I'm a huge Marvel fan. I'm going to go see Deadpool this week. So hoping I can get into Marvel Rivals, because it does seem like a game. Right now it's on the same tier as Concord for me. Like I want to see it.
Sure.
I want to play it, see how it is, see how it feels. Like, am I having fun? But it gets a leg up because it's going to be free. And yeah, the game looks great so far. Have you played Marvel Rivals yet at all, Jordan? Gotten to the previous beta?
I have not. As soon as you mentioned that, I was like, Marvel Rivals console access or console beta access.
Yeah.
Googling it because I was like, can I apply? And no, they're not.
Oh, they closed that off as well.
Right now, yeah.
All right.
No, it's one that I've been watching pretty closely, though. I know the first round of beta and everything. I have a few friends that got in. So I was watching clips of theirs and stuff like that, and obviously some clips online and everything like that. I'm in the same boat as you, honestly. Like, I am a pretty big Marvel fan. I'll probably be going to see Deadpool on Friday. If not, I might try and get out on Saturday or something like that. But yeah, I've been watching it closely because, I mean, for someone who's been a fan of Overwatch since 2016, like you tell me you're making a Overwatch competitor, but it's Marvel flavored, and you know, all the characters are from the various Marvel properties. Like, that's kind of a dream project, if you ask me. You know, I mean, for the longest time, when everyone talked about crossovers with Overwatch, one of the ones that would always inevitably come up was Marvel, right? It's so easy to say, well, let's make an Iron Man skin. Let's make a Hulk skin for Reinhardt, you know, all these kind of things. Mm-hmm. Now, do I think that'll ever happen given Marvel Rivals coming out? It's hard to say. It seems less and less likely, but anyways, I do want to check out Marvel Rivals, and if it's going to be free, then absolutely I'll dive in and at least give it a weekend kind of thing. But yeah, we'll see. Mm-hmm. It looks fun.
Yeah, hoping I get in. And if you're listening and you got in, please let us know what you thought in the comments below, or send me a message at SamsonXP on all the socials, or at Grow Up Level Up. You can send me a message there. Jordan, where can people find you?
People can find me mostly on Twitter at Sir Dr. JM. That's Sir DRJM. I think I said last week I haven't been too active on there. I'm always on there. It's just, you know, when the Overwatch League died, I didn't have much to tweet about. So I even with OWCS, you know, every now and then. But anyways, if people follow me on there, maybe I'll start tweeting more. We'll see.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for listening again, listener, tuning in for a second week. We really appreciate it. This has been kind of our dream project for a little while now, being big fans of podcasts, specifically video game podcasts. And it's kind of in our blood anyways, with the various podcasts that we've worked on. So thank you again for listening if you've gotten this far. And we hope you tune in next week on Fridays when we release these episodes for some recommendations you can take into the weekend. Have a good night, day, or afternoon, everybody. Talk to you later.